And welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. My name is Gary. Guys, I can't tell you how excited I am to bring to you somebody that's actually very inspirational to me, very encouraging to me. I had a chance to work with this person on two different levels. One, he was my supervisor, my direct supervisor for quite some time. And then two, I got to work alongside him in a different capacity. But nonetheless, he was a leader in all capacities, incredibly inspirational. So guys, y'all give it up for none other than Mark Foraker.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear him clapping? It's great seeing you. I love it. I haven't talked to you in a while, so this is a great opportunity to catch up with you and just learn, get a little more conversation time with you.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
Well, I just came off of a 1-week vacation, so I'm all charged up.
You're charged up, refreshed, and probably sifting through 2,000 emails, I imagine.
Sometimes vacations aren't worth it, but
right, I understand. You need a vacation after the vacation.
Right.
But Mark, I want to give you a chance to share with us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I have been in property management the last 27 years. I think it's actually going on 28 now. So literally, I don't know anything but property management. It's a good thing we're going to talk about that, and you're not going to ask me about anything else. And I even started in this industry before that. When I was at school at UCLA, I was working in the dorms and the off-campus apartments as like an RA type stuff. So I've probably been doing this since 1989 straight without a break. Nothing else but single or multifamily property management in some form or another.
Yeah.
So it's been a good run, but now I'm the SVP of operations at Barbin. We run about 4,500 units right now, and we're still growing, based in Houston, Texas. Private ownership group. We don't do any third party, it's all owner managed. And I have a great team with me here, and just kind of loving life. It's all in Texas with one small exception of a property in Atlanta, and that's kind of it.
That's awesome. You got quite the experience. I imagine you could probably write a book on all of the experiences and the stories and the things you've experienced. So make sure you start.
That is my retirement plan. I think
there you
all
go.
of us could write great books.
Right. I survived.
Yeah.
But Mark, like I mentioned earlier, I've had opportunities to be the beneficiary of your leadership on two different levels. And, you've always been inspiring to me. And so I always love to reconnect with inspiring leaders and take a peek behind the curtain and see what inspires these inspiring leaders. And so I reached out to you, asked you a couple of questions, what inspires you? And you shared with me some great stuff. And so I want to kind of dig a little bit deeper into these. So the first one you shared with me, what inspires you is seeing growth and development in individuals. So share with us a little bit more about what that means to you and how does that inspire you?
Well, I think it starts with just loving the concept of having relationships with people. Because for me, I just don't think you can inspire growth and lead people unless you're a people person. Like, you have to be able to relate to people on some level. I've seen people, I've experienced management with people that led me that were very robotic and very straightforward and dry. Like, that just doesn't resonate with me, and I don't think it resonates with a lot of people. So for me, it just starts with that basic relationship, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But for me, one of the things that really inspires me is once you've got that relationship and the basis of it is strong and you've got a good understanding and trust, then you build on that. And you lead through example, you lead through mentorship, you lead through, modeling good behavior, you lead through education, you do all those things. And for me, what really charges my batteries is when I see the light bulb flash in somebody's head, the light just comes out from within, where they get what they're trying to do all of a sudden, whether it's the gravity of the responsibility they have or the magnitude of what it means to lead other people. Like, all those things kind of just congeal into one solid form, and you can see that instant when it happens. And for me, that is the most exciting part of leadership in my job. That's what charges me up.
Oh, I love it. I love it. 2 points kind of brought out that resonate with me is, one, you're modeling that behavior that other people can, not only are you attempting to develop that, that relationship with the other individual, being the people person and connecting with them on different levels, I believe that's such a valid approach, because everyone is on different levels. And if you model the behavior of you're trying to connect with people where they're at, other people are watching that, and that creates encouragement and inspiration to say, hey, you know what, Mark is, modeling that behavior to connect with people where they're at. That's something I can do. I can learn from Mark, and I learn from you, Mark, goes without saying. And so I think that's that's pretty smart way to do that. And that proves why you've been so successful in what you've been doing. The other thing that you talked about, I love how you said congealed. Where things start congealing together. I started thinking about Jell-O. You start mixing the ingredients, and over time it congeals together into. So I don't know why I brought that up, but you said congealed. I thought Jell-O. Maybe I'm hungry. Who knows? But I absolutely agree with you. That light bulb moment or the aha moment is probably one of the most incredible things to witness or to be a part of or to encourage. And when you see that, man, there's almost nothing better than to see people you work with, the ones you've built relationship with, to see that moment kind of click. That indeed is inspirational.
Yeah, I think that true growth really happens when people stop looking at checklists and thinking about their job in a very robotic form. I think once they see that those are all just things that are part of the recipe. Like if it's Jell-O, there's water, there's Jell-O, and maybe you add some fruit cocktail or something to it. I don't know, but those are all the ingredients, and it's easy to follow the directions to make Jell-O. But when you start realizing that you can color outside of the boundaries a little bit every now and then, maybe it's not fruit cocktail, maybe it's pineapple, maybe it's cherry. I don't know, whatever it is you want, but whatever it is at the end of the day, when you stop looking at it as step 1, step 2, step 3, and you start thinking of it as the end product. It's going to be something that I created and something that's unique to my situation and where I'm living and what I'm doing today. Once you see it that way, that's when the light bulb goes on in property management. It's very easy. It's just move-ins, move-outs, leasing, market, resident relations, Aura scores, all those things. They all are like little things that are on a checklist. But when you start seeing them as a holistic kind of solution to things, and people get that, that's when the moment happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I love you, Mark. You've always, and I've experienced it, you've always been people first, task second. And I think that really leads to a successful approach, a successful path to, connecting, building the relationships with the people. Once that's established, we get to the tasks. And because you've got that positive relationship built up with the people, the tasks will happen. They'll take care of themselves because you've got that. So
hire for personality, train for skill.
100%. Love it. So Mark, you also shared with me an additional thing that inspires you is building great teams, and those teams complement each other. So tell us what that means, and how does that inspire you as well?
Well, it inspires me in that I've used a couple tools over my career. I like Clifton Strength Finder a lot because I think that tells you a lot about somebody's strengths and weaknesses. And when you match that up with the team, then you can kind of figure out where somebody's strong, where somebody's needing to be complemented with strengths in somebody else's skill set. So that's kind of a part of the puzzle. There's DISC, there's all the other ones that you can use, ABA. They're all good. None of them are bad, but all of them are just tools to help build those great teams. And what I see, when I'm looking at that kind of stuff is I want to build teams that not only get along from a personality standpoint, because that's important. I mean, we spend more time with the people we work with than our significant others when we go home at the end of the day. And it's so important to have good chemistry in the office. So to me, what is inspiring about that is that when you've built that team, when you've built a team that complements each other, that personalities mesh, when everybody's pulling on the same, wavelength and doing the same things and really supporting and contributing to the success of the team, like that moment when you see those things come together, that to me is like one of those, oh my God, I think I'm gonna cry moments, because they're just so great when that happens. And it's obvious when it happens, and it's also equally obvious when that doesn't happen. And that's just so satisfying to me.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. And Mark, what's really kind of cool about this, this is so ingrained in you that I even love how you've set up your inspirational points, because you started with individuals and building them and building that aha moments and building relationships. And then you get into teams, and you haven't even talked about tasks yet. You're talking about building teams and connecting those teams and finding out their strengths and weaknesses so that you can connect with that and finding success and having that teary moment when they do connect and they really are a strong team. And again, I know I keep saying this, but I've been on a team that you've led, and it truly is, it's impressive how you've, you work to make sure all of the team members kind of knew each other, knew how to work with each other, and encouraged each other to work with. And hopefully we provided you a teary moment of success. But I really do appreciate that. And that is just incredibly inspiring, how you work that into, leading a team. And that's absolutely inspiring.
Yeah, you can tell people what to do, and that lasts for a little while. You can threaten them, and if they don't do it, there are consequences, and that only lasts a little bit longer. Ultimately, people have to do their job because they want to succeed, and they want to not let down their team. And they want to hold up the goals and core values of the organization through their work. And when they start seeing it that way, then it becomes productive, and then it becomes great, and then it becomes successful financially.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then speaking of successful financially, that last inspirational point that you shared is achieving hard fought goals. I think that's a neat statement. What does it mean to you, and how does that inspire you?
When you think about it, I don't know. I mean, I know you're an athlete, Gary. I know you ran marathons before, and I think it's probably maybe the same feeling you get when you cross the finish line at the end of a marathon. You may not have won, you may not have, you certainly didn't lose, because I know you're better than that. But you did Ironman, so you know it even more so. Crossing that finish line and achieving that hard fought goal, and realizing that all the training, all the effort that you put into it, all the sacrifices you made, to get there, whether it was time outside of work and time away from your family, and the pain and the sweat and all those things, the injuries that might have happened along the way, all those things that you fought through to get to that finish line. There's no better feeling in the world than crossing that finish line, except that that's only the start of the next race or the next challenge, or the next thing that's got to be done. Because in property management, there is no end to the race. Sooner or later, even at the end of whatever it is you're working on, there's another goal to achieve, and another process to develop, another place to go, new people to train, new teams to build. So it's a never-ending process. But setting up those little goals, setting up those hard-fought goals and achieving them is like I see in my teams when we get there, just that sense of relief, that sense of accomplishment, and also that sense of wanting to do what's next. And those things are inspiring to me.
Absolutely. And I love how you use the analogy of, racing, because truly is, once you reach the finish line, that becomes the starting line of your next race or your next goal. So, a finish line immediately turns into a starting line as you're, going through this journey, and as you're going through business. And Mark, you brought it up. There's always something next. But enjoy that success and be inspired by that success that you fought hard to get to, and get ready for the next one, because it's coming around the corner, whether you like it or not. But I agree with you. It's absolutely inspirational. And I appreciate that as well. And that's been a wonderful, wonderful inspiration, just, again, to be a part of your team as well. We've accomplished some pretty awesome things.
We did accomplish a lot of great things. We really did. And my time at Steadfast with you is probably one of the highlights of my career, not only with you, but with everybody else that was part of our team.
Absolutely an amazing team. And so that finish line is just the start of another starting line that we get to create and build. And that's such an incredible thing, that we get to create new goals and accomplish those as well. So Mark, it's been great chatting with you. I could talk to you for hours, and we have in the past, but we've come close to the end of our time, and I want to give you a chance to share a closing thought before we wrap up here.
So I guess maybe the closing thought is, when I think about what we do and how we do it, and where we go with our teams, and how we inspire and how we lead, and all that together, I think one of the things that we found, I think, at Steadfast, that was brought to our organization by somebody else that I will now live with for the rest of my life, is the concept of building trust in the 5 dysfunctions. I think that, when I think about what's led to the most success in my most recent career path over the last 5 years, nothing has moved the ball forward for me more than embracing the concepts of that book and those principles. And it all starts with trust. And there are many other components to it, but I think my closing thought is that once you have trust, real, true, vulnerable, open, honest communications, and absolute trust, it's the foundation for everything else that you do in your environment. And without that, all is lost.
Oh my gosh, so good. Mark, I could say some additional things beyond that, but I think you hit the nail on the head. So thank you so much, Mark. Thank you for being a part of the Super Fantastic Exchange. I value your wisdom, your insight. I know everyone that watches this will value it as well, and take some great nuggets. I'm going to rewatch this just because it's always great to hear and learn from you, no matter what. So Mark, thank you again. Guys, y'all make sure if you ever get a chance to connect with Mark Foraker, take advantage of it. He's absolutely amazing. I'm a beneficiary of his leadership and working with him as well. Again, Mark, thank you. Guys, we'll see you on the next episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. We'll see you guys.